But we start with our Newsmaker segment and hear from one of the candidates for the 3rd District at Large City Council seat in the June 18th election. Joining me is the Reverend Wallace Hartsfield II, pastor of the Metropolitan Missionary Church. His opponent was my guest last week. Reverend Hartsfield, welcome to Ruckus. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you're a busy man running a large congregation. Why do you want to take on the added responsibilities of serving on the council?
Well, I think this is a natural outgrowth of my faith. It's kind of hard to think about faith without faith ultimately being made public. But being more pointed about it, I'm running in this race because I care very deeply about the well-being of our city, and I'm committed to its optimal function, that of providing excellent services and equitable opportunities. Moreover, I'm compassionate for the diversity of voices that create our city. But I think most importantly, I'm willing to cooperate with the mayor, other city council members, city staff, community partners, residents, in order to make our city the best city it can be. And it will be the best when, wherever we are in our city, that we are in safe, prosperous, and growing neighborhoods.
You're running from the 3rd District, but you're running citywide.
Yes.
The 3rd District is on the east side of Kansas City. What are some of the most significant problems in the 3rd that you'd like the City Council to deal with and try to solve?
Well, the rampant violence that threatens our neighborhoods, for me, would probably have to be at the top. But then there's a whole matter of menial jobs that really are not quality, nor are they sustainable. And then I would think that we would have to talk about affordable housing. Unfortunately, the housing choices are ridiculous for many persons, especially in the 3rd District, because they have to choose between housing that is oftentimes unaffordable or housing that is substandard. And then there are those distressed communities that have been neglected that also need to be addressed.
Is 18th and Vine in your district?
Yes, 18th and Vine.
What do you think is going to happen with the Jazz Museum? What should happen?
Well, absolutely, we should put the necessary investment in place to make this a reality. 18th and Vine is central not just to the history of African Americans as it relates to music in this city. Kansas City can't be what Kansas City is without 18th.
Why hasn't it ever been truly successful in the modern era?
Well, I think a lot of that has had to do with possibly leadership and a real vision with regard to it. But maybe most importantly, and especially as a city council person would think about it, the investment has not been there at the local city level, maybe at the level it should have been.
But you think the 18th and Vine Jazz District will be saved somehow and will prosper?
Well, it's not going to be saved on its own. It's going to only be saved.
But that's a goal you could consider.
Absolutely. I mean, and I would be one of the city council persons to do that.
As a big jazz fan, I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yes.
As you well know, Kansas Cityans just rejected a sales tax for pre-K education, 3/8 of a cent. And some analysts are saying that's because Kansas Cityans believe they've been taxed enough. Do you think Kansas Cityans have been taxed enough?
Yes, I do believe that, but I think we have not been as responsible and strategic with our taxing. And I think that was the problem, one of the problems with regards to what the mayor had put forth. We're going to have to do better with how we make use of the taxes here.
All right, one final quick question. Should the Paseo Boulevard name be changed as the City Council has directed to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, or should it go back to Paseo as some people are now suggesting?
Yeah. Well, I'm for it being changed, all right, but what I would say is that I understand what the ministers were trying to do as far as to celebrate the name of King, and I'm for that. I also understand what the residents are seeking to do. Unfortunately, this has really fractured our community and we're going to need a road to reconciliation. We're going to really need that to take place.
But you favor the name Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard
Yes,
over
I do.
Paseo. Okay. Thank you very much for coming in. Good luck in the campaign.
Thank you.
That is City Council candidate Reverend Wallace Hartsfield II. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus!